Manchester City 2-0 Newcastle. A first-half brace from Bernardo Silva helped Pep Guardiola's side through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup after beating a lacklustre Magpies side. Manchester City booked their place in the FA Cup semi-finals for the sixth successive year after securing a comfortable 2-0 win over Newcastle at the Etihad Stadium. Liverpool march into the Europa League's final 8 with a ruthless showing against a woeful Sparta Prague at Anfield. 7 minutes separated first-half goals by Darwin Nunez, Bobby Clark, Salah and Cody Gakpo. Dominik Szoboszlai and Gakpo added goals after the break. Liverpool eased into the Europa League quarter-finals after thrashing Sparta Prague 6-1 at Anfield to win the tie 11-2 on aggregate. Gawang Patah has summarized for you. Man City secure sixth straight FA Cup semi-final with comfortable Newcastle win. 5 talking points. Manchester City 2-0 Newcastle. A first-half brace from Bernardo Silva helped Pep Guardiola's side through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup after beating a lackluster Magpies side. Manchester City booked their place in the FA Cup semi-finals for the sixth successive year after securing a comfortable 2-0 win over Newcastle at the Etihad Stadium. After an even start, it was City who opened the scoring in fortuitous fashion, as Bernardo Silva maneuvered some room inside the box before finding the corner via a double deflection. Pep Guardiola's side doubled their advantage just past the half-hour mark, but City once again got a little bit of luck. Silva found space on the edge of the area and fired a shot towards goal, but the ball took a slight touch off the head of Sven Botman before finding the back of the net. Although Newcastle had opportunities, City dominated the vast majority of the game and could have put it to bed, with Jeremy Doku and Erling Haaland both squandering chances. However, that didn't affect the outcome as City controlled the latter stages to seal their place in the FA Cup semi-finals. Unfortunate Newcastle. The Magpies started the game positively, but went behind in the 13th minute. Silva weaved his way into the box and got a shot away which took a double deflection off the unfortunate Joe Willock and then Dan Burn before looping into the bottom left corner, leaving Martin Dubravka stranded. Pep Guardiola's side weren't at their fluent best during opening stages, but found themselves 2-0 in front just past the half-hour mark. Newcastle were unlucky once again, however, as Silva jinked onto his left foot before curling an effort which took a nick off Sven Botman's head and flew beyond Dubravka. Doku wasteful. It has been a mixed start to life at City for Doku since his £55 million move from Rennes last summer, but the Belgian showed glimpses of quality against Newcastle. The 21-year-old caused stand-in Magpies right-back Jacob Murphy plenty of problems with his pace, elite dribbling, agility, and balance. However, Doku's decision-making left a lot to be desired. In the 42nd minute, he got himself into an excellent position on the edge of the area, but shot when a pass may have been the better option. Moments later, Doku was played through on goal and tried to dink Dubravka, but his attempt was well saved. Doku then engineered another chance at the start of the second period, but his fine left-footed strike was tipped wide by Dubravka. The former Anderlecht winger was brought off in the 77th minute as Guardiola looked to put on some fresh legs, with Oscar Bob coming on in his place. Newcastle back to the drawing board. It wasn't a terrible performance from the Magpies, but they simply didn't do enough to go through. Although both of City's goals came via deflections, Eddie Howe may feel like his players could have done more. Willock allowed Silva too much space to shoot for the first, while Botman could have got a firmer head on the strike which flew straight past a hapless Dubravka. At the other end, Newcastle had their fair share of opportunities, too. The best of them arguably fell to Alexander Isak, who had an excellent chance just before halftime. The ball dropped to the Swede inside the box, and he fired a snapshot towards goal, but Stefan Ortega produced a fine save to deny him. With Newcastle out of Europe, they now just have the Premier League to focus on. Following the international break, the Magpies face West Ham and Everton at St. James Park before traveling to Fulham. They currently sit 10th in the top flight, 7 points behind 6th-placed Manchester United. Liverpool 6-1 Sparta Prague, AG 11-2 Jurgen Klopp's side ease into Europa League quarter-finals. Liverpool march into the Europa League's final 8 with a ruthless showing against a woeful Sparta Prague at Anfield. 7 minutes separated first-half goals by Darwin Nunez, Bobby Clark, Salah and Cody Gakpo. Dominik Szoboszlai and Gakpo added goals after the break. Liverpool eased into the Europa League quarter-finals after thrashing Sparta Prague 6-1 at Anfield to win the tie 11-2 on aggregate. Jurgen Klopp's side were ruthless despite leading 5-1 after the first leg, scoring 4 goals in 7 first-half minutes to put the last 16 tie to bed, before Sparta Prague pulled one back through Veljko Brmančević. Bobby Clark, 19, netted his first senior goal for Liverpool right after Darwin Nunez's 7th-minute opener. Mohamed Salah and Cody Gakpo then added 2 more in quick succession to make it 4-0 inside 15 minutes. Dominik Szoboszlai's deflected effort, 3 minutes into the second half, was quickly followed by Gakpo's second as Liverpool punished a woeful Sparta Prague performance to claim their biggest aggregate win in Europe. Liverpool will learn their next opponents in Friday's draw before heading to Old Trafford on Sunday to face Man United in the FA Cup quarter-finals, hoping to keep their quadruple dream alive. How Liverpool eased into the last 8. Klopp's side were already virtually guaranteed a quarter-final place, but 4 goals in the opening 13 and half minutes started the rout. Nunez opened the scoring with a clinical strike from 16 yards with the best of the quartet, but that was forgotten in the blur of goals which followed as Sparta's players were left chasing shadows and questioning their own abilities. But instead of keeping it tight, the visitors continued to play out from the back, and when Salah charged down Krejci, the rebound fell kindly for Clark to slot under goalkeeper Peter Vindal. Salah enjoyed a fine return to the starting lineup after a short spell out injured, setting up teenager Clark for his first senior Liverpool goal on his European debut after winning the ball deep in opposition territory before scoring his 20th goal of the season. The favor was returned when Clark muscled Yaroslav's leaning off the ball 25 yards out to tee up Salah to curl home his milestone goal. Gakpo then turning home the Egyptians' cross from close range after more sloppy defending. It was the 7th successive season Salah has reached the milestone, and the first time any Liverpool player in their 132-year history had achieved such a feat. Salah then provided his second assist of the night as he teed up Gakpo to finish off his cross from close range. When the 4th goal went in, captain Ladislav Krejci, whose mistake had led to the second, called a crisis meeting in the middle of the pitch. It all seemed a bit futile, as even though their task at kickoff was an improbable one, their defending was so naive it bordered on the embarrassing. Brmančević held off the backtracking Wataru Endo to poke a shot past Kevin Kelleher just before the break, but it was a brief respite as, after Nunez, Endo and Joe Gomez were replaced during the interval. Midfielder Szoboszlai, set up by Salah, added the 5th 2 minutes into the second half after a fortunate deflection, having assisted Nunez for his 17th goal of the season and his 6th in as many games. When Sparta Prague goalkeeper Vindal's punch at a corner only reached the edge of the area, Harvey Elliott fired in a low shot which Gakpo touched in with a cheeky back heel for a second. The Netherlands international wasted a glorious chance for his hat-trick, blazing over with only the goalkeeper to beat, and despite taking his tally to 13 for the season, he is unlikely to start at the weekend. Klopp's preferred front three of Salah, Nunez and Luis Diaz will have 48 goals between them, and the team as a whole have 117 goals in 45 games. They will fancy their chances against a United side who have kept just 4 clean sheets, 3 of which came against mid-tabled League One opponents Wigan and Premier League strugglers Nottingham Forest and Everton, since they became the only club in the last 55 matches to prevent Liverpool scoring in a goalless draw in December.